Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. My next guest is Ian Perlman. You can find him on Instagram at Yankees Focus, where he displays his amazing photography of pitches taken inside Yankee Stadium, not of only the players, but the fans themselves, and gives you a true experience of what it's like to sit in the seats at Yankee Stadium. But more important than all of that, his favorite section is Section 420. So, of course, I love the guy. So we never got to speak in person. We probably sat next to each other a million times, but I wanted to bring him on to this episode so we could reunite, and we'll go over some of the crazy characters that sit in Section 420, as well as go over the team as they make that final push towards the end of the season. So let's bring him on. Hi, Ian. Thanks for coming on to the show.
Thanks, James. Thanks for having me, man.
Now, funny enough, we met because, the world of Instagram and of different Yankee fans and doing different things. And I guess you took notice of the show Section 420, and I guess we connected because, hey, look, I'm up there all the time and how I never seen you. So again, probably a situation where we probably sat next to each other like 50, 100 times and just never knew about it. So appreciate reaching out. And again, people can follow you at Instagram at Yankees Focus, and that's kind of, we have all these pictures, which we'll get into. But let's just get into 420, not that type of 420.
Totally.
The section. So pretty much, is that maybe since day one where you and your friends kind of gravitated when you do go to a game?
Yeah. So for me, Yankee Stadium is a very expensive place to go see a game. And I've been a Yankees fan my whole life. So I kind of, while looking for a section that I felt that I wanted to call home, I found Section 420 to be the best views. I found, it was a great view of the ballpark. You got a great breeze coming from your back. You got the shade from the canopy. And it just felt like the best spot. And I also, at that point, I was started photographing, fans and the team. And I felt a lot of energy up there. And that's where I met some of my friends who I met actually just sitting up there. So I went into Section 420 just by myself, just like being like, this is a cool spot. I want to explore this. And it really became home for me. I mean, it's my favorite spot in all of Yankee Stadium. And I don't know, man, it's just like you're saying, all the characters that we can go into, it became such a place of refuge. Like, even when I would go around and sit in other places, I would always go up and get a beer from my dude, Ray, who'd be up there, the beer guy. And I would just always find myself, at least once a game, I'd find myself going up there and just sitting in one of those seats just to feel home again. Cause that's exactly where, to me, Yankee Stadium feels like home, is in that section. So, and the fact that you named your show this, I was like, all right, I got to talk to this guy. It's meant to be.
Exactly. And when, you reach out and I saw, your Instagram page and just these photos, which, again, everyone goes to games, you take photos, but like, these are like real crisp, sharp photos, and then, read a little more about yourself, and, you have, some about cinematography, editing, stuff like that. So you have a little background in this. Can you just maybe delve into that a little bit?
Yeah. So I came into all of this more from the arts side of it. I have been into film and photography since I was about 12 years old. It's everything I've ever known. My father, being a Yankees fan, kind of put Yankees in my blood. But it wasn't until I had kind of worked for the Rangers, doing social media for them. And then from there, started doing some photo for the Yankees, and kind of started from a different perspective, and really went into it trying to capture a side that most photographers aren't capturing, whether it's the authentic fan experience or something just slightly unique that someone who's a non-traditional fan might see, like myself, who comes into it in a little bit more of like a weird kind of eye on the game. As much as I love, all of the rules and the history of baseball, I am like a baseball nerd, but I'm also like a film art geek too. So I think that kind of hopefully puts a characteristic on my photography and my work, and whether like it's very, like you're saying, it's sharp. I know the technical side of it, but one thing I'm really trying to focus on is trying to get the heart and the emotion and just the feeling more of what I'm trying to capture. So that's always been the goal. And going back to Section 420, other than section like 103, 104, maybe the bleachers, that's where the character I feel like is in Yankee Stadium. That's where I've gotten the best photos that I've captured in all of, I've sat all around the ballpark, and I always find the best photos. I don't know, the real fans are up in section 420. So I'm not trying to call shade on any other sections, but I'm a little biased.
Yeah, and I remember just going back to the old stadium because I don't know what the section. Obviously, it would have been tier upper deck, but I don't know what number it was. But this, when we used to go back at the old stadium, it was like all those character people were there, and so it's just funny that even going to the new stadium, they still just gravitated to that section. So, I just personally think it's the best section, just in terms of like you got the coverage, especially in the summertime, you get that nice wind. Now you do get killed in October because when it gets freezing. I've been up there. I remember the opening year, 2009, Game 1 against the Angels with CC on the mound. Now I think we beat them like 10-2. But I was in that last row, like up there. I was just, whew, that wind is cut right through.
Brutal with that wind coming at your back. I mean, it's wonderful in a nice summer day, but that could be brutal in October. I could definitely see where that would be awful.
Right. But those are good fun parts of that as well, because when you get that wind, like the peanut shells will be all over your legs, so it like blows and it goes into like the people's hair in front of you. So it's a good and bad of that little wind up there. But just get into some of the people up there. It just seems like a lot of people with scorecards, really into the game, starting the chants and all that stuff. It just seems like really the heart of the real fan, I feel, is in that section. People have been going to the stadium for many, many years, and maybe some have dropped off just when the new stadium came by, and of course, just with rising prices, maybe can't afford to go anymore. But there was always that group in that upper deck area, and even Michael Kay talks about it. He thinks that's like the best view in the house.
Oh yeah, they're right below us. I mean, they're like literally right below us in like 3 something. Like it's basically like right there. And speaking of someone who came from the old ballpark in kind of a similar upper deck kind of vibe, of my friend Dan, who I call Charge Man Dan. He's this big dude, looks like kind of like Santa Claus. To me, he's my North Star. Wherever I am at the ballpark, anytime there's a charge, I look up at section 420 and he's right there standing up going, charge. But he was doing that in the old ballpark too, or so he tells me. So it's like, I'm glad that the heart and soul of the old ballpark kind of came into the new one. Because I personally think the more character we can have in this new ballpark, the less sterile it feels to hopefully an outsider. I mean, I know that it does feel a little sterile. It's beautiful, it's clean, but I would, the same thing like we were saying, like I would love some more characters, and to kind of highlight those characters is again why I do what I do, is to try to showcase that. Yeah,
again, people go check it out. Go to your Instagram handle, Yankees Focus, see some of these pictures. So of course you got Charge Man Dan, and of course I think everyone knows this person because his voice is so loud, as the Cracker Jacks guy. Cracker Jacks.
Oh man. So I can't remember, was he at the old stadium too?
Yeah, he was there too, but I don't remember him being like as vocal. It just seemed like at the new stadium, like he really came on. So maybe he might have been doing something else, and maybe he didn't have the character yet. So maybe they switched him to Cracker Jacks, and that's when he turned it on.
Oh man, he found his voice. I mean, you could hear him from, like I said, like same thing with Charge Man. Like I can hear Cracker Jack Man when he's like down in the far corners of like left field, making his way around. I actually saw him at a Knicks game once when I was working at MSG. Like he makes the rounds. I think he works Mets games too.
Yeah.
He's all over. He's a legend. I mean, he's one of those. I've been trying to get him to warm up to me because sometimes we get a little drunk and we're like, Cracker Jack Man, and like he's more reserved. He's kind of timid. But I've always wanted to do like a character study on him. I think he's quite an interesting human being, and I don't know, where that voice come from? Where, like, did he decide, like, I'm just gonna, like, it's such, I don't even want to try to do it. I could try, but, like, Cracker Jack, like, it's so, like.
The Cracker Jack guy, he's like to me, he's like the unofficial mascot of the New York Yankees, I think.
Man, I love that you say that, because it's been either him or Charge Man Dan, in my eyes, is my unofficial mascot. So, I don't know, maybe I'll do a vote for the true Yankees fans. But if you're going to try to coin Cracker Jack Man as the true Yankee Stadium mascot, I'll take that over Yankee Doodle Dandy or whatever they had in the 80s.
Did you ever get a chance to meet with Fuzzy up there, the Fuzzy group? I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Fuzzy? No.
Yeah, so this goes back to the old stadium. He did come to the new stadium a little bit, but he had some, I think, some health issues. And I heard, unfortunately, he did pass away a couple of years ago. But this guy was like in 420 or whatever the equivalent was of the old stadium, going back for many years. I mean, he's seen like 4 no-hitters. He's seen championships, and every time he was there every single game. He had a big guy, he had like a beard like this, and it was he had a group of like 5 or 6 of them. There was Fuzzy, there was Waba, another old guy. Again, character types. They were always at the old stadium all the time. The new stadium, they were there for a couple of years, and then they kind of faded off. Again, I heard he passed away, but but unfortunately, if you ever got to see Fuzzy, I mean, you would have loved him. And he was the same thing. Like, people try to take pictures of him, and I think he tried to be elusive a little bit because they were trying to make fun of him a little bit. But he was like a real hardcore Yankee fan. He was at every single game. And a lot of times people just throw them tickets like that. I don't even think they paid for tickets half the time. They just hang outside, like, you got one, and they'll just take one and just go into the game.
Oh man, I am so bummed now that I didn't get to meet Fuzzy, because that sounds like my kind of guy. I try to go to as many games as I can, but I really respect people like that who literally are at every game. Like, the commitment to the team is something that I really admire. I mean, like, I as you can tell, like, I live for this team, so that's so cool to me.
There's one last guy though, worth mentioning, and he's at the games all the time. Is the guy, I think it could be Hank or something. He goes, "Sit down." He yells at you, "Sit down." I'm sure at some point you got yelled at. I don't know. He comes in with a bag, and if you stand up in front of him, even if it's a good thing that you want to stand up a chair, sit down.
Dude, I haven't actually met that person per se, but I'm pretty sure I took his seat accidentally because so I was sitting down in his seat. But I think that was him. But for us, when me and my friends on Fridays, we play a joke with a lot of tourists go up there sometimes. So we do up and down. Have you ever heard someone yell up and down up in Section 420? So up and down, to explain to the fans at home, is usually those who don't come to Section 420 very often don't really know where they're going. So they'll come up, they'll look around, they'll realize they're in probably Section 420B when they went into 420A. They'll come back down, go up and around. So usually it's an up and down. They'll come up, go like halfway, and we'll like notice it, and we'll start to like playfully call it like up and down, and there's like up and over, and like, I don't know. I hope people don't look at that as us kind of like making fun. It's more kind of like we do it more playfully, or we try to do it playfully.
Just getting back to some of your photography and stuff like that before. So you did mention that you trying to put together a book perhaps, or some sort of collage or some sort of presentation of all these photos.
Yeah. So where this kind of all came from was I had always dreamed of making a photo book for my father, being such a massive Yankees fan, and he's gone above and beyond to kind of come into my world and learn about art, about filmmaking. So for me, beyond my personal love for the team, something that I wanted to do for him is kind of come into his world, which is the Yankees and that kind of idea. So I had been working. I mean, I'm still, I guess I'm working on this said book. It turned into more of printing really large canvas photos for him, for his office, because I refuse to have anyone else's artwork in my parents' home, because I don't really like to put my own artwork in my own home. So to have a gallery, it's like, all right, well, it's my parents' place. It's my gallery. So it was just like the need to just constantly strive to make a better image than anything that he could purchase, and something with more character. So I had sent you like a sunset photo that I'm waiting to post to my Instagram until they make the playoffs this year. I've been waiting to post. It was going to be the cover of the book, but enough holding it. I've already put it on my website. It's like I'm starting to put it out there. But that we printed in like 5 or 6 feet is like in the back of his like right behind his chair. There's a bunch of these great shots of like CC and Paxton and a bunch of other things like that. And like, I really just like every time I'd go to the stadium, it was like, all right, a challenge to try to make it like, how do I get the next best photo to impress him? And I mean, I don't really need, he has so much love for me and so much, what's the word? Like, he's very proud of me. So I didn't really need to make him any more proud, but it was a constant, like a fight to be like, oh, is that photo better? Is that photo better? Like always just trying to like one up my last photo. And that's what kind of started this obsession to capture the Yankees and use my spin on that. And something that I'm going to finish for him. And I've already shot like 2 years of it. So I'm looking to wrap it up soon, but right now, yeah, it's my pride and joy to give to him. It's something I worked really, really, really hard on. So
That's
and
great.
still
So
working hard. Yeah.
and whenever it's ready and out, just let me know if we come on, because we have people coming all the time, promote books and stuff. So, if you want to do anything and publish it or anything like that, self-publish it, love to help you get the word out. So we got our Yanks, they gave us a bit of a scare, I'll say over the past 3 weeks. There was, obviously everyone was injured, including DJ. So you figure they're going to take a hit, but they were just looking bad. It was just depressing. Now some of the pieces are coming back. They're playing better. And of course, I think the main reason is there's something about Devi Garcia just throwing out, 3 or 4 good starts. And I think this calmed the whole team. And then with the pieces coming back, and now it looks like they're primed, they're in a good spot where they could get hot going into the playoffs, which is what you want.
Yeah, it was kind of wild. That 10-run inning against Toronto was like, I guess you could say rock bottom. I would say the team for the last like week or two before that could also be considered rock bottom. But to me too, I'm such a big Ottavino fan. He's probably one of my favorite pitchers. I actually played some chess with him, which is really fun. And the fact that he kind of gave up a lot of that too, along with Chad Green, was just like the knife. I had posted this kind of grief looking photo on the Instagram, because I was like, this feels like rock bottom. This was it. And then all of a sudden, I guess the team clicked and the bats started working again. We had that 21-run game against Toronto. It's just like, it was good to see everyone back, and guys like Clint Frazier constantly doing well all season. Like, to see him defensively and the strides that he's made. I mean, I remember last year being in the outfield against the Red Sox and watching him make like 3 or 4 just terrible defensive errors. Like, the guy couldn't catch a ball. And then now it's like, he's a completely different player. The bat speed has been there, but now defensively he can hold his own. It's like, I love Gardner, but Gardner's old news. I mean, unless you consider him a defensive replacement in left field, but like, you'd be stupid not to play Frazier. He's playing too well. So it's like watching the team kind of come and assemble, seeing, everyone kind of come back. I mean, I guess the biggest question now is, and I'd bring this to you, and maybe we can do comments for the fans too, but catcher. I think catcher is the biggest like question, because you have Gary Sanchez who's struggling, but you have Higashioka who's like, I don't know. I mean, I hope it's not a fluke, but he's been raking lately. So, it's kind of crazy.
I mean, his upside obviously wouldn't be compared to Gary Sanchez in terms of potential, but obviously, things weren't working out. I think the season got a good start off with Sanchez and Cole as battery mates, but then you saw disintegration. Cole wasn't effective. He was kind of lumbering out there. And then they switched him to, Higgy, and then he has a couple of good starts in a row. And it's like, all right, well, now you come to a playoff, do you want Sanchez's bat, or do you just want the sure thing of Cole being at his best? And I think in that case, whatever puts Cole in the best frame of mind to be the best he could be, I say that's what you do. And for Sanchez, hey, look, did it to yourself. And I don't know, if he gets hot, maybe you can make him DH or something if Stanton isn't really hitting. But other than that, I think, whatever to make Cole happy is what you got to do.
Yeah. And I love Andujar. It's sad to see Andujar not getting some playing time, but this team is too stacked. And I mean, watching Gio play third is the smoothest thing since, like, I don't want to say Derek Jeter, but like some of the plays that Gio makes is just like, he makes it look so effortless. I mean, just going around the infield, I mean, this team is so stacked. Luke Voigt's having an MVP caliber season. It's like, it was tough because, like, yeah, for a while there, I was like, what is this? Like, I thought we were a good team and we're hitting rock bottom, and now it's coming back into form and it's giving me hope and light again. And I think a lot of Yankees fans have hope for the postseason, because if this team can be right, I mean, we're a threat. I really think this team could make a push if everyone's healthy. And going back to Davy Garcia, I think it's huge to see him step up in a big role, because now that Paxton doesn't seem like he's going to come back, and Monty's been a little shaky. So if you can have Hap's been good, you got Tanaka, you got Cole, that's, I don't know, that's like 4 or 5 decent starters. I think that's, you never know until the postseason, so I'm very optimistic. But sometimes I get hurt hard in the postseason, because I go in wanting it all, and then I just get crushed. And unless you were in 2009. but
Yeah. I try to like almost like train myself a little bit to like not get the high hopes of expectations, because then you get crushed. Like, but it is hard. You get sucked into it, and like the team looks good. And I think with this season, it's a little special in certain ways, especially this first round with the wild card. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think seeding matters. I mean, just get in, because again, they're gonna obviously, as you know, it seems like they're gonna be doing the bubble similar to at least for the playoffs, similar to the NBA and hockey is doing. Just like, all right, we're in the playoffs, we can't afford people getting COVID, so let's just contain everybody. So like, no one's gonna be really. I mean, maybe one or two teams might end up being the home team if some situation works out, but probably not. So I think it's an even playing field. Just get in, and if you have Cole for that game one, boom, you win game one, and then that other team, really the pressure's on, because then one more loss and they're out, and at least you get to go to the next round.
Exactly. And the fact that it is in a bubble, I mean, it's not Yankee Stadium. There's no crowd. There's no true home field advantage. So at that point, it's like, yeah, just go in healthy. Like I'm on the fence, because part of me sees the intelligence in the team resting, here or there, because it's not that important to be the top seed in the playoffs, like you're saying. But at the same time, it's like, I want to see these players ramp up, and I don't want it to be like a complete rest. So like, I would like to see them, moving forward, to kind of like, rehab these guys like Judge and Stanton, and give them some rest, but also make sure that they're right for the playoffs, because it's going to be, it's going to be a sprint, so. And at that point too, it's going to be a difficult mental challenge for them too. I mean, this is something that's really unique for these players. No one's felt this kind of bubble. I mean, they were saying, I think on the broadcast, that it was like, they're going to have to quarantine or be away for like 45 days. And I saw, I have friends that still shoot for the Rangers and stuff like that, and talking to them about how the team in a bubble, it's tough mentally for these guys. It's very tough, to not see their families, to just be kind of, and especially if you're not winning and you're stuck with your thoughts, not winning, that can be very difficult too. So I truly don't believe that this is going to be an asterisk season. I think the only true asterisk season was the Houston Asterix, but we'll get it. We'll save that. We'll save the politics for another time. But I think this is going to be a really exciting postseason. I think having it in Arlington too is really great. Having the roof, I've been really excited to see the new Arlington Stadium. I think it looks incredible. I think the way they're doing the bubble is smart. I'm interested to see how the players step up to this kind of challenge. I mean, it's gonna be very unique. It's gonna be something that they think they're ready for, but I don't know if anyone is really ready for what the postseason's actually gonna be for these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a mental grind. And again, it's really for 1 month, and it's for the playoffs. So, like, let's say you get bounced early, it's not as bad. But the two teams that are there at the end of the day, like you said, they're going to have to go through, like, 25, 30, 40, whatever amount of days it is. So, yeah, that's going to be the test. Now, you did mention our good friends, the Astros. So you have them, which, we owe them big time. But also, Tampa this season has been a pain in the backside. So what would be more satisfying for you, getting revenge on the Astros and eliminating them somehow to get to the World Series, or eliminating the Tampa Rays?
Man, that's a great question. It's crazy, because this year, I think I want nothing more than to shove it back to the Rays. They have had our number all season. It's been so frustrating. After that game where, it was this whole Chapman throwing at the head debacle, and then they just like stuck it to us. Like, it was, I was so ashamed of the team after that. I think that's almost a start of the rock bottom, I wonder. But I don't know. I mean, Houston, if you think back to the 2 times that they knocked us out, and apparently those 2 times they were cheating, it seems, man, I would take either, but I think it would feel really nice to beat Houston without them cheating, to actually kind of say like, hey, look, this was an issue. Like, if they didn't cheat, we beat them. It's basically the same teams. So I don't know. To me, maybe the Astros by a small margin, but man, I would love to just beat the Rays hard. I also, like, at this point too, I'm glad that we're not in a lower seeded position to face the Rays at first. I'd rather our first round be like, what was it, Minnesota, or I don't know what the other probable team was. And as much as Minnesota is going to have their day and will get us, and that could be this year, please do not make me eat those words. I do not want it to be Minnesota's year, as much as I have friends in Minnesota that would love nothing more than to the Yankees to finally have what's coming to them. I don't know, man. I mean, all the teams this year. I'm like, I don't know who I'd actually want them to face. I think there's a lot of teams that are going to give the Yankees a run for their money this year. So I hope they can be healthy and strong.
Yeah, and I agree with you too, just because everyone's on these same conditions. Like, I would consider a legit World Series because again, everyone is faced the same thing. Is it a type of thing where you feel great about it? Like, not, I don't know. I don't think I'd feel great about it as like winning in like, 96 or 2009. We had a full season like that. It's because season is kind of, but it's been a lot. We're 11 years past now, so we all do. So yeah, I'll definitely take it. I wouldn't, even if we didn't win and if someone else won, I would say, oh, well, that doesn't count. No, I think it totally counts because everyone's on these same conditions and the rules seem like they're changing every week.
Yeah.
So, and this is a wacky season. So
who would you rather? I flipped that question back to you. I'm curious.
Yeah, I was thinking about. I mean, I think I just rather this for this season though. I'd rather get Tampa just because it's not the same. Like the Astro thing seems so far removed now, and plus Verlander's not even playing this year, or like so. Like they might use that as an excuse in a way. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't feel like the same team in a way like that. I'd rather get them in a full season. So, in terms of short term, since like the Tampa thing, like you said, it kind of left a bad taste in our mouths a couple of weeks ago. I'd rather bring it to them, get that revenge. And then maybe next year, if we have a full 162 game season, I'm sure we'll have a good year. They'll have a good year. And then we meet in the playoffs. And then it's like, all right, we're going to do this the right way, the real way. And that's when I'd like to, take it out on them.
Totally. I like that. I'll stand behind that. So that sounds good. Yeah.
Just got to make it happen. So, again, fans can check you out, Ian Perlman at Yankees Focus. Check out all your crystal clear pictures there. Again, of all the funny, wonderful people like you, me, and Crackerjack Man up there in the section. So I appreciate getting some time there. So again, the team's looking good. I think they're getting hot at the right time. Let's just say that. And so when you walk into the playoffs, it's exactly what you want. So hopefully we put back that slump from a couple weeks ago behind us and going to the playoffs hot, and let's see about making a deep run. So before we part there, I think we got to do a salute to the Crackerjack Man. So I think we should go 3, 2, 1, Crackerjacks.
Got it.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Crackerjacks.
Not too bad.
That's great.